And ever since I've been coming with Andy, I've not only stabilized, but I've gotten better. So I'm really, really happy, and I really love coming here. It betters my complete condition. But mainly, of course, I can read. I can read the paper with glasses. So I really believe in this.
First of all, is there anything we can really do about presbyopia that makes sense in your practice?
Well, Dr. Oz, the good news is there are things we can do. We can actually exercise the muscles of the eye, because the eyes have muscles that help us focus. Just like we could exercise any other muscles in our body, we can do eye exercises that can help strengthen to help us focus better.
Hey guys, welcome. Dr. Andy Rosenfarb here. And today we're going to be talking about fat metabolism and your vision. Very, very glad you were able to join us today. This is going to be a real exciting session, some new content. And I know we have a host of different people on today. We have, I know we have physicians. I know we have acupuncturists. I know we have patients, family members. So today is kind of a new twist that we are taking our sessions on now. In the past, we've done a lot on eye conditions. We've done a lot on things you can do to help your vision, things like eye exercise and nutrition. We've obviously talked about acupuncture. We've talked about stress. We want to start looking more into the functional medicine model, naturopathic model. And what that means is we want to help you guys understand some of the deeper metabolic underlying issues that can happen and that which can lead to sometimes the actual onset of these conditions, and without question, how they can impact the acceleration or deceleration and or recovery of vision. So today, again, we're talking about fat metabolism and your eye health. And again, I'm Dr. Andy Rosenfarb with AccuVision Acupuncture, where, of course, your vision is our mission. That's right. And that's why we're here giving you guys this education, because we not only want to help you guys understand what's going on with your eyes and what's going on with your vision, but also what you can do about it. You know, having an understanding of what's going on is half the picture, but then what can you do about it? So what are you going to do with that information once you have it? We're going to talk about that as well. So those of you guys are in here in the room live with us. Hi, so glad you made it. Type in, let us know where you're here from. Where are you guys viewing from? What part of the world are you? We are about 3 o'clock here in New Jersey. I actually just finished clinic about 5 minutes ago. So I'm very, very happy to be here. I just got my notes together, and this call is going to be a little bit deeper than I initially thought. After going through the information that I wanted to present to you guys, originally it was just going to be like fat metabolism and things to do to help you guys with understanding how fat metabolism affects the vision. But I wanted to take a little bit of a deeper physiological dive so you guys really understand. And where this really leads to is digestive function and liver and gallbladder health. So I don't want to overburden with you guys with too much on anatomy and physiology, but you guys can for sure go onto YouTube or go onto Google and look at the mechanisms. But what I'm going to do is take you through some of these processes that you may or may not be aware of, or maybe it's a good reminder for you. Help you understand a little bit better what's going on with fat metabolism and how specifically it relates to your vision. All right. Wow, I see so many people coming in from London, South Africa, Florida, Baltimore, Hillsborough, Oregon, the UK, Malaysia, Michigan, Zurich, Montreal, the UK, DC, London, Philly, PA, Hawaii, Cali, Ohio. Awesome. So, so again, if you guys have questions, you can post them in. I'm not promising I'm going to get to all of them. I will get to as many as I can. Again, I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. So let's dive right in. Again, today's subject is going to be about fat metabolism and how does fat metabolism really affect your vision? And of course, guys, you can apply this to your overall health. So the first thing I want you guys to be aware of is that you may not be aware of this, but 80% of the U.S. population has a less than adequate essential fatty acid or good fat dietary intake. That means when we eat, we consume food, the majority of our foods or our diet choices are not really robust with good fats, all right? And this is part of this is going to help you guys understand that and then add that to your diet, hopefully. So when we talk about fats, we have good fats and we have bad fats, or fats, I want to rephrase that, fats that can be constructive, beneficial for us to help us repair and regenerate and use as a healthy form of fuel, and also fats that are more toxic and I'd say more pollution and more garbage in our body, like rancid fats. And those you guys know, those would be like fried fats, trans fats, LDLs, your low density lipoproteins when you get your cholesterol test. Also, the good fats are going to be your HDLs, all right, and things like your omega-3s and your omega-6s. Typically, talking about omega-6s and 3s, the optimal ratio of omega-3s and 6s, and there's actually places that I'm not going to talk about this now. We're going to talk about this when we do our deeper dive education. But you guys can look into this if you're interested. There are actually tests in labs that will check your omega-3 profiles. And what we're looking for is somewhere for an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of about a 3 to 5 to 1. So that means about 3 to 5 times the amount of omega-6 to omega-3. Both are very important. Currently, the average, most people have a 25 to 1 ratio. The reason that is because we really consume as Americans and internationally as well, a very high vegetable oil. We cook with vegetable oil. There's a lot of vegetable oils in a lot of things that we use. So that is going to kick up your omega-6 levels, which again, it's not bad, but when that ratio gets too high, we have too much omega-6 relative to omega-3s, it just throws off the balance a little bit, and it can clog up the liver, which we're going to talk about, and gallbladder we're going to talk about in a second. So examples of omega-3s will be things like flax oil, fish oil, cod liver oil. Those are really good sources of your omega-3s. Omega-6s are more like black currant seed, borage oil, evening primrose oil. Those would be more of like your omega-6s and more of your vegetable oils. So the omegas that we're looking for, we want to be really stable, right? There's a lot of talk about different fish oils and stuff like that. As far as fish oils, I like cod liver oil brands. We have our LipoVision DHA. If you're using your own, I like Udo's. They're a really good one. Norwegian has a good omega-3 DHA. Carlson's has a really good omega fish oil product. There's a bunch of really good fish oil products. But fish oil, cod liver oil seems to be really stable. It's one of my favorites. And the reason I like that is because for vision especially and autoimmune conditions, cod liver oil is extremely high in both vitamin A and vitamin D, both very important for vision activity and immune function. All right, we all know that we can always do better with our vitamin D. So vitamin A, as we know, is really useful for the eyes and for the skin and for protecting against oxidative stress. And of course, vitamin D is really, really good for our immune function and also specifically autoimmune diseases too. So it boosts our immune system. It's more of a regulatory. So if you have an autoimmune, where you have a hyperactive immune system, it's going to dampen down that immune response. If you have a weakened immune system, like tend to catch colds easily, things like that, the vitamin D will increase. So the cool thing about vitamin D is it's very regulatory, and that's why I like cod liver oil. Is a natural source. So as we talked about, you guys, a lot of you guys are on here. You probably saw our original post about fish oils, and in the original post we made a couple weeks ago, which was actually the springboard for this course because we got so many questions on it, was that the statement that if you burp fish oils, if you're taking supplements and either get like reflux, they repeat on you, your burp fish oils, that's a really strong indicator that you may have fat metabolism issues, vis-a-vis difficulty breaking down and digesting fats. This is a process of your digestive system, your liver, and your gallbladder. There's two ways fats break down in the body, guys. One is through our pancreatic enzymes. That's right. The pancreas, as we know, releases insulin to help stabilize blood sugar, but we also know that it releases pancreatic enzymes to help break down macronutrients, protein, sugar, carbs, and fat. Now we break fat down, we're talking about lipase. Protein, we have protease, amylase, things like sucrase, fructase, all these things to break down lactase, the various sugars in the body. So there are all these array of pancreatic enzymes that assist in the body's breakdown process. Now, if the pancreas has enzymatic insufficiency, meaning it's not pumping out enzymes, which can be a result of a host of issues, that lack of lipase, which breaks down fat, can cause fat metabolism issues. That's happens. It's a lesser degree. Most of the time, we really look at liver gallbladder function. When we're talking about fat metabolism, we're most of the time talking about liver gallbladder function, because the liver creates and manufactures and secretes something called bile. All right, bile, some of you guys probably heard of this. I'm sure most of you probably heard of bile. Bile is a substance produced and secreted by the liver, stored in the gallbladder, that emulsifies fat in the body. All fat, right? It's the chemical that breaks down fat. We need to break down fat for a lot of reasons, for detoxification, for energy production, a whole host of reasons. But in this case, we're really talking about the useful, beneficial form of bile, all right? Now, the bile can have some problems, right? We can have some issues with like sludge, or the bile can become too thick, you know, where it doesn't move smoothly through. It's almost like thick oil. So we want to thin out the mixture a little bit so that the body the bile can pass through the liver and gallbladder and help the body with the digestive capacity and break down fats. Okay, so it starts in the liver, and liver dysfunction. You can have liver dysfunction, which can be either genetic or epigenetic. Genetic meaning that you're born with this issue. Epigenetic meaning that there are lifestyle issues. Maybe your diet's not great. Maybe you don't exercise very well. Maybe you've drank a lot. Maybe you've been sick. You've had some issues, some health issues, and you've had to take a lot of medication. As we take more medication, that a lot of the time puts a lot of stress and burden on the liver to have to break down those chemical compounds. We're going to talk more about that in a second. So interchangeably, I want you guys to be aware of, I'm going to use some terms. We'll talk about liver detoxification, or liver detox, or detox, but a newer definition or understanding that I've been using a little bit more these days is called biotransformation, which is a little bit more of an accurate way of explaining this. Detox means like we just got to get rid of the crap in our body, right? That's what most people think of, like, I'm toxic, I get rid of it. Biotransformation is a little bit more accurate because it means what we're doing is we're just taking, nothing's essentially bad or horrible in the body. Well, I guess there can be, but once the body, we just want to assist it. We always have pollution, we all have toxins coming in the body, and the healthy way that the body, liver, kidneys, our detox functions in our body helps to transform these toxins, to take them out of the body safely and efficiently, okay? So with the liver, we can have problems with this biotransformation process. What the liver does, it's kind of like an oil filter in our body, right? It gets rid of not only our metabolic wastes, our chemical wastes, our physiological waste products in our body, food that we eat that we have that has toxins, also the hormones in our body that have to be cleared, viruses, bacteria, any pollution in our body that needs to be cleared will usually be cleared through the liver and gallbladder function, and a two-phase detoxification pathway. So this biotransformation process has a phase 1 and a phase 2 detoxification process inside the liver. Now, I don't want to get too into this because you guys can certainly go online and check this out. And for those of you guys who are practitioners and physicians, you probably have a better understanding of this. Once we start doing our deeper sessions, which we're going to be planning for 2022, we're really going to take this deep and really help you guys understand on a much deeper level how this stuff works. But for these purposes right now, for this this session that we're doing, phase 1 detox, all you need to know is this. During phase 1 detoxification, what the liver is doing is it's really just neutralizing the fat-soluble compounds into a functional intermediary. And it's actually, it's a little bit more toxic, or it's oxidized. So it has a lot of free radical possibility for doing damage at this point. So phase 1 kind of neutralizes it, but we are using free radicals to kind of break this down, break down the fat-soluble nutrients that we're trying to get rid of. That's the first part. The first part, again, is more of a neutralization and a free radical oxidation of fat-soluble waste, all right, that the body wants to get rid of. So that's the first part. The second phase, which is a phase 2 of the detox process, is more, again, of a conjugation or a processing of these intermediates to take them to a more easily excreted process, again, through urine, sweat, or the bile, where we kind of defecate. It's going to dump it into the large intestine or colon to get rid of it. So basically, we're taking fat-soluble waste and either moving them through the colon so the body can eliminate them through the bowels, or we're converting them into a water-soluble form of elimination that the body can get rid of it, which is going to be, of course, excreted through the kidneys in the bladder through urination, can also be excreted through the sweat. All right, so that's how we detox. Phase 2 detox, again, without getting into too much specifics, is a little bit more complicated. And again, in another seminar that we do, another workshop, I'm going to talk pretty deep about this, especially for you guys, you practitioners who are interested in this. We're going to be doing our functional ophthalmology module in 2022. So those phases, of course, are glutathione conjugation, acetylation, methylation, sulfation, glucuronidation, and then finally bioexcretion, which is the final process of the phase 2 detox. Guys, don't worry about that. There's a lot of physiology involved in that. And again, all you have to know is that phase 1, we're basically neutralizing the fat, and then phase 2, we're basically deciding, is it going to go through the colon, released through the bowels, or is it going to be sent to the kidneys to be released through sweat or urine? Okay, so that's how the liver handles these fat-soluble wastes. Okay, so when the liver is not working and we have these impaired functions, let me back up for a minute. It's very common to see, most people are pretty good with phase 1 detox. We have what's called a phase 2 deficit, which is often called pathological detoxifiers. Say that fast, bunch of times. What that means is people have the first part pretty well. The liver throughout a lifetime is pretty efficient, unless you have, something like cirrhosis, or you have fatty liver, some type of hepatitis where the liver function really is impaired. In most cases, the phase 1 is usually pretty okay with a lot of people. It's the phase 2 where we get hung up. It's that breakdown of the conjugated free radical toxins that we're trying to get rid of. So what happens when we have this phase 2 deficit, where the body can't, kind of make the choice to send it to the colon to get rid of, or to the kidneys, what happens is everything gets stuck in the liver, and it back flushes into the body. When these toxic, we talked about the phase 1, it's a lot of free radical damage, or not free radical damage. There's a lot of free radical activity going on, and when these phase 1 metabolites or intermediaries are in the body and they're not moved swiftly through to phase 2 and they backflush in the body, that's when we have oxidative stress going on. And when oxidative stress increases and we have poor detox function, we could start to see an array of issues arise. A lot of neurological diseases. Guys, most neurodegenerative conditions, things like Parkinson's, ALS, Alzheimer's, obviously things like macular degeneration, glaucoma, certainly eye strokes, normal tension glaucoma, optic neuritis, idiopathic optic neuropathies, anything that's going on with the nervous system or the neurovascular system of the eyes is going to be impaired, because the liver detox pathways have such a specific effect on the neurological, the brain, the eyes, and the central and peripheral nervous system. So you're also going to see vascular health issues. You're going to start to see things like hypertension. You're going to start to see things like varicose veins, phlebitis, circulatory issues, cold hands, cold feet, things like that. Your nails, fingernails. In Chinese medicine, we talk a lot about how the flower of the liver is expressed in the fingernails, right? Those of you guys are TCM practitioners. When we're looking for the health of the liver, we look at the fingernails. Part of that reason is because when the liver is not functioning, we don't have good blood flow out to the periphery. And one of the things that can affect is the fingernails, the health of the fingernails, your toenails and your fingernails. So when you start to see them start to become brittle, they crack, maybe they're more susceptible to fungal infections, it lets us know that there could be some issues going on with the liver. Then we can also see things like people have massive chemical sensitivities, drug reactions, environmental sensitivities, or allergies, things like that, whether it's food allergies. And again, a lot of fatigue, right? The body's tired when it's toxic and overloaded with, when it's backed up with this lack of biotransformation that's going on. So when the body becomes toxic and overloaded, physically, and we talked earlier too about emotional. In Chinese medicine, the liver also not only processes hormone and fat soluble waste in the body, but it also processes negative emotions. So it gets backed up when we're dealing with a lot of stress, anger, especially things like irritability, resentment, anger, frustration, any of these these types of emotions that kind of make you feel kind of like irritable, intense, or even depression. So the liver deals on a physical side with these fat soluble nutrients, but also the emotional side of it as well. So we can see when the liver loses its optimal function, we can start seeing that maybe we get a little more cranky, more short-tempered, a little bit more irritable. And again, guys, look, I'm not talking about like somebody gets triggered. It's how fast can you get back to where you need to be, right? Everybody gets triggered with, somebody does something or we see something, we, read something or have a conversation, we get triggered. But how fast can you get back on track? When the liver is toxic and the liver is not functioning well, it's harder to get back, right? Because we're so toxic, we're so loaded with negativity that the body and not just negativity, but chemical overloads. Guys, this is reason why those of you women who, or guys, anybody in the family has see issues with women sometimes either going through menopause or going through their monthly cycles. What happens is women have a much harder response. Their liver has a much larger burden dealing with hormones every month, because as the hormone cycles go up and down every month, the liver is what breaks down and processes those hormone fluctuations that, of course, women have those monthly a little bit more than guys. So this is why we get things like PMS and menopausal symptoms and stuff like that. It's easily traced back to the liver. And those of you guys who are Chinese medical practitioners, or if you've had any treatment for these conditions, you know that your practitioners probably talk to you about your liver health. So again, I know a little bit off subject, but I do want to paint a whole picture for you guys to really help you understand the role of the liver. And it's not just with the eyes, and it's not just the liver, but it really has this radiant and cascade effect of dealing with a lot of processes when it comes to your health and well-being. The other thing we start to see, again, we talked about hormonal imbalances, not just sex hormones, but also thyroid, adrenal, pancreatic issues and stuff like that. What we're going to see too is things like fatty liver. When you look at your blood work, you can see things like elevations in your ALT or AST. Those are your liver enzymes. Cholesterol, triglycerides can be a little elevated. So we see all types of liver diseases, maybe, again, steatosis, fatty liver, certainly things like cirrhosis, or maybe there's a history of hepatitis or something like that. Or again, maybe it's just a functional level. Like on paper, everything looks great in terms of your lab work, but from a functional standpoint, if any of you guys do naturopathic work or functional medicine, there are some functional issues, and you're having symptoms that are just screaming and directing us more towards liver pathology. So that's really the liver side of it that I wanted to talk to you about. And again, if you're more interested, we'll be doing a deeper dive on this in the future, probably more in 2022. But please take some time. YouTube has some great explanations on this, or any of your sites, Google. If you want to dive more into this, there's a ton of information. Practitioners, if you're interested in learning more about this, I can certainly direct you towards more resources to some of the individuals that I learned with over the last 25 years. So we can't talk about the liver function without talking about gallbladder function, right? And this is very relevant to a lot of you guys who've had your gallbladder removed, right? It's very, very common to see people who have gallstones or maybe inflamed gallbladders, and it's very common for the gallbladder to be removed. And that is going to give you long-term issues, right? Those of you guys who had gallbladders removed, or maybe a family or a friend, you probably have a lot of issues with greasy fried foods, dairy, sometimes even sugar, fatty foods like desserts and stuff like that. Why? Because sugar turns into fat, and then the liver and gallbladder have to break it down. So while the gallbladder is used primarily to store and release the bile, when you removed it, the liver has to do double duty, right? So does the pancreas. So we don't have that storage and release of bile that the gallbladder was doing. So the burden falls upon the liver to pick up the slack. Also, the pancreas has to secrete more pancreatic enzymes in the form of lipase to help your body break down more. So if you're eating a ton of fatty foods and you're totally disregarding that, you've had your gallbladder removed, you really got to watch it with your dietary intake, even your good fats. So one of the things we're going to talk about inside this training that we're doing over the next few minutes is what you can do. I got so many questions on that. People asking about, and I see some of you guys asking questions. I will hit those towards the end, so just hang with me. So again, people who have their gallbladders taken out, you really have to watch it with your dietary fat intake, your sugar intake, especially your junk food, fried fatty foods, and your dairy. You probably don't need me to tell you, but you for sure are going to have some digestive issues with that. And again, what that's going to look like is more biliary insufficiencies, obviously, if you have your gallbladder taken out. And then if you haven't, we can have insufficiency, sludge, and biliary stasis, where again, the bile gets thicker, and even harder. And ultimately, that's what causes gallstones. So interesting fact, you know what, guys, you know what the number one reason for gallstones is? Yep. Type it in there. If you guys are here live, or if you're watching this on the recording, type in, what do you think the number one reason is for gallstones? Yeah, that's right. So you got it. It's chewing. People aren't chewing. You got to chew your food. Remember, digestion starts in the mouth. And most of us, as my mother-in-law calls us, gavones, you inhale all this food, you just literally just wolf it down, and you're not chewing, right? So mastication, digestion, take your time chewing your food. The enzymes in your saliva will help break the food down and help with better digestion. So the number one reason people get gallstones and gallbladder issues is because you're not chewing your food. Again, you're just kind of wolfing your food down and you're not chewing it. So if you have any issues, you have problems digesting fats, or maybe your doctor, you've had a history of like gallstones, or maybe there's some issues with that. Maybe they've kind of threatened you with the possibility of getting your gallbladder removed. Start chewing your food a little bit better. That is the number one thing that will help improve and or reduce gallstones. Really, really big factor there. Now, there's a whole host of gallbladder cleanses and flushes. Again, I'm not getting too into that right now. I've done it. You guys can Google that and look it up. Long and short, it's pretty much involves using some for a couple of days, you use apple pectin to soften up the gallstones. Then we use things like olive oil with lemon to get the liver to contract and dump out some of the oils. That's a little radical. You can do that. There's also milder ways to do it that I like. You can do fasting. Again, juice fasts for a week are a great way to take the burden off the liver and gallbladder, to just reduce the fat intake for a little while and let the body get rid of it. Guys, most cases, if the bile's thin and the liver and gallbladder is pretty functional, the body will get rid of the fat. It's just we don't give it a break, right? We're eating so much crap and fatty, fried, greasy, trans fat-oriented foods that it's going to give us some issues. So, so that's the liver gallbladder. We really want to deal with that. I'm going to talk in a minute. I see you guys asking a question about what do you do if your gallbladder is taken out. So give me a sec on that. So again, let me just review real quick. The liver detox or biotransformation process is a process where we have a transformation of fat-soluble compounds, both external and internal. That means dietarily, environmental toxins. We breathe in, we come into it. Guys, if you put moisturizer on your skin, those fats are absorbed into your body through your lymphatic system. Those have to be broken down as well. So we can have fat-soluble waste, not just fats, environmental pollution. Those have to be taken down, xenoestrogens. Any of these things have to be broken down by the liver. So these are the things that come from outside our body, not only dietary, but also toxins. And then our internal metabolic wastes, right? When our body is breaking down waste material and regenerating, part of that process is we're breaking fats down and proteins down. A lot of the fat-soluble stuff in our body that needs to be conjugated and broken down and eliminated will be backed up. And again, that's what we're going to talk about in a couple minutes when we talk about specifically how it affects vision and other parts that we'll mention as well. So what is the fat-soluble hormones inside the body? All right, what does that look like? We got hormones, neurotransmitters, bacteria, endotoxins, drugs, pharmaceuticals, pesticides, and other environmental toxins. All right. So these are these external things. In our body, we know it's things like cholesterol, hormones. Again, we talked about how sugars, people are diabetic or insulin resistance. What the problem is that the body is converting these sugars into fat for storage, but then they're sitting there in the body, right? The liver gets overwhelmed because that's where the sugar and fat storage occurs. And then once the liver's packed, we'll start dumping it into the peripheral tissue of the body, and we'll start increasing our fat cells, right? We start to put on weight, maybe around the midsection, maybe, around your butt, if that's where it goes, depending on where your fat goes, thighs, so we see this fat accumulation. People don't realize this is why liver detoxes and gallbladder flushes are so effective for weight loss, because yes, we want to exercise and burn fat, and we want to deal with calorie restrictions, specifically trans fats and sugars and carbs, to reduce those sugars that are going to be converted into fats. But we also, of course, want to burn fat. So how can we do this? How can we help the body to overall, again, I'm going to talk about, before we get to specifically with the eyes, generally speaking, how can we help the body start to break down and utilize fats better? All right. So I want to talk about this, and then we're going to get more specifically into eyes, and then we'll talk about the specific nutrients and everything. So generally speaking, we're going to go from macro to micro, meaning we're going to go to the big picture of liver health and overall body health, and then we're going to really tailor it in and talk about the vision. So hang with me, guys. So there's a lot of great nutrients and supplements and herbs that are really beneficial to help with liver function. A lot of these you've probably heard of and familiar with. Two of the big ones from an herb standpoint are dandelion. Guys, make a salad with fresh dandelion. You can put some olive oil on there. Dandelion salad is fantastic. Or you can use dandelion, those are the leaves, you can use dandelion root tea or supplement. Dandelion is one of the best things to help the liver with both phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. Milk thistle is another fantastic, definitely on my A list when it comes to liver and gallbladder function. Ginger is really useful as well. Taurine, L-taurine is an amino acid. One of my absolute favorites. Guys, this is also really interesting. Taurine is one of my absolute favorites. It's called L-taurine. Really inexpensive. L-taurine is also the most highly concentrated amino acid that's found in the eye. That's right. So taurine not only is good for your liver and gallbladder, it's incredibly useful for your vision. Taurine is very useful for controlling high eye pressure, also for hypertension. So anybody who has this like liver eye thing going on, taurine's really important. Usually recommend about 2,000 milligrams a day of taurine. Too much taurine can kind of give you the runs a little bit. So if you're starting out with taurine, start with 500 milligrams a day and titrate up to about 2,000 milligrams. Now, if you're a big guy or a big girl, you may want to take a little bit more. Again, I got some patients who are like, football players and, kind of just, kind of like that. We were still as athletes. Those will even sometimes put up to like 3,000 milligrams a day. So it does have a lot to do. Supplements have a lot to do with your size. So there's another thing I wanted to talk to you about called TUDCA, T-U-D-C-A. So TUDCA is actually a bile salt. It's a synthetic bile salt where they added taurine. All right, TUDCA, there is so much research, guys, on TUDCA. I could do like a whole hour presentation on TUDCA. TUDCA then is T-U-D-C-A, and it's abbreviation for the synthetic bile salt. There is so much research for retinitis pigmentosa, for macular degeneration. TUDCA was actually originally used for in the 70s when a lot of these guys using steroids, again, like Schwarzenegger, and when bodybuilding was really, really big, and they're just playing with like venom, snake venom, and all these crazy steroids, which were pretty dangerous. A lot of people got pretty sick from them, but they had liver damage, cirrhosis and permanent liver damage. The interesting thing they found was TUDCA was really the only thing they found that would help repair and regenerate the liver. So TUDCA, if you don't take it in small doses, it can be pretty harsh on the digestive system, especially if you don't need it. Very effective for diabetics too. We get really good results with our TUDCA patients who have diabetic retinopathy. So RP we use in a lot of cases. We use it for macular degeneration because it helps break down the drusen. We're going to talk more about that in a few. And then for sure, people with diabetic retinopathy. Anybody with liver, gallbladder removed, TUDCA is fantastic. We also use more a natural form. Some people don't like the synthetics. We can use things like ox bile. So ox bile is another synthetic way to replenish if you have a biliary insufficiency and or you have had your gallbladder taken out. So these are some strategies for you guys who are asking about, how can you supplement the bile if there's a biliary insufficiency and you want to hack. If you're going to eat dairy, you're going to eat some greasy fried foods, you're going to have some calamari, you want to have your, greasy fried foods or, that are fun, maybe some fries or some onion rings or something like that, which guys, look, you got to live. It's tasty stuff, fried shrimp once in a blue. If it doesn't, wreck your system, eat, drink, and be merry. So you can take things like TUDCA or ox bile to help with that. Another little hack is taking green tea. So you ever notice, if those of you guys ever gone to Japanese, had like hibachi, at the end of the meal, what do you get? They give you a cup of green tea. The reason is because the Japanese found out, millennia ago that green tea, not Arizona iced tea or any of the sugary green teas. I'm talking more about straight green tea. What it does, it has alkaloids in it that will actually bind to the fat in the grease, so it'll take it through your digestive system and it won't go through the liver as much. So that's a really good hack. If you know you're going to cheat, you're going to a wedding or a party or out to dinner and you're going to have a fatty meal, maybe you're going to have like a really awesome Italian meal, nice greasy food, have some green tea after, right? Maybe take a digestive enzyme. The other things we look at are beet and beet concentrate. Beets are really good for liver phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. They also help with nitric oxide levels, which is, you may or may not know, help with circulation. So I'm a huge fan of using beets in diet. Either if you like beets, eat them. Maybe put them in your shake. If you don't, you can get beet extract or they have powder extract, stuff like that. But beets are fantastic. Very important for the vasodilation, to make sure your blood vessels are getting ample blood supply or dilated to get your blood supply to get oxygen and nutrients to where you need it. Lecithin, vitamin C, ginseng, and glutathione is really important. We're going to talk more about glutathione in a few minutes. Guys, glutathione is super critical. Big talk on that in a few. So the other things that we're talking about, let's talk a little bit more about how to aid in digestion. I want to kind of take a little side note on this. So the other things we can do to help with digestion are sometimes people drink coffee, all right? Coffee is a little bit more acidic, but not as bad if you have a really big meal. It's just the caffeine, it's a little dehydrating, it's a little acidic. I like black tea a little bit better than coffee, but coffee will aid in digestion, again, because it's acidic. The other things that will help with digestion is simply taking hydrochloric acid. Look, guys, as we age, the body's hydrochloric acid production in the stomach, which helps break down food, declines. So we don't have enough HCl in our digestive system. So we can either supplement with digestive hydrochloric acid, or we can take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, only after cooked moods. Only after cooked moods and cooked foods. So only after cooked meals. Don't need to take hydrochloric acid, apple cider vinegar if you have like a salad or fruit or something like that. This is only for cooked foods, mostly proteins and fats as well. You can take a digestive enzyme. Again, we talked about that earlier. Full spectrum digestive enzyme with lipase. That'll certainly help break down and metabolize fats. Again, we talked about taurine, ox bile, TUDCA, green tea. Green tea, again, diabetic. You're eating fat, greasy, fried foods, sugary foods. Keep some green tea with you, in your bag or something like that. When they come around asking for coffee or tea, just get hot water and, have some tea if they don't have it at the restaurant. Omega-3 DHAs are huge. We talked about the omegas. So good fats will help break down bad fats. Okay, really important. Good fats will help break down bad fats. That's why we supplement with things like flaxseed oil, fish oil. We talked about earlier about the cod liver oil as well. So, so the last thing I want to talk about before we dive into vision is I want to talk a little bit about the role of glutathione. Okay, glutathione is arguably the most important nutrient for phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. Glutathione is something a lot of people try to take it orally. Not the best idea. Guys, you can't take a glutathione supplement because it gets broken down in the digestive system. Now, that said, there's a relatively new form of glutathione that does work. It's called liposomal glutathione. Same company that we use that makes our liposomal vitamin C. What does that mean? Liposomal or lipospheric means that they've taken the molecule, all right, the molecule of glutathione, and they've encased it in fat, all right, lipid, so that it can get through the digestive system. The hydrochloric acid won't break it down like it does with regular glutathione, and you can make use of it. So it'll, when it's encapsulated in fat, which again is a liposomal glutathione, your body can take it right to the liver, where it can be used in the phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. Guys, this is critical for every brain, liver, cardiovascular function in the body. Here's the thing with glutathione. It tastes really sulfury. So I think there's some companies that actually have it in gel caps now, but the way it's been given, and we had a hard time giving it with supplements, it's like in these little gel packs that you kind of take orally. It's pretty nasty. I can take most supplements. Even I was having a little bit of a hard time taking this down. It's pretty much like taking gelatinous rotten eggs. That's pretty much what it tasted like. So it was pretty nasty. They have some companies that are really reputable now that have kind of upgraded it, and they've taken the liposomal glutathione and made it in a little bit more of an easier, tastier way to get this into your system. So check that out, guys. Get on some glutathione. There's also other ways to get glutathione in. One is taking N-acetylcarnosine, NAC. All right, what that does is a precursor to glutathione, which will help the body produce its own endogenous. It's also really good. I know guys are dealing with COVID right now. NAC is really, really good for boosting your immune system and preventing for virus, flus, bacterial infections. So any of you guys want a good defense against the viruses that are going around, load up on NAC. Also very good protection against cataracts. It's a good thing. Those of you guys who know about our Can-C eye drops, we use those, which primarily contains NAC. So get on glutathione. Oh, the final way for glutathione that I wanted to mention is IV. All right, you can go get intravenous, either an IV push or a drip. They'll put some glutathione in it. Great way to get your glutathione. But again, I just wanted to drive home. I know a lot of you guys take glutathione products that are glutathione. There's another company that we use that has a glutathione recycler product that I really like. But just don't take straight glutathione. You're wasting your money. Again, it could be liposomal through the skin. It could be transdermal through the skin, liposomal encased in fat, or an IV, or you can take things like NAC, which is a precursor for glutathione. Okay. So now let's talk a few minutes about fats and your vision. All right. That's why you guys are here. So fats and vision. So real quick, I want you guys to understand the role of fats when it comes to cell function, specifically nerve cell function. So when it comes to nerve cells, retinal cells, macular cells, optic nerve cells, visual cortex, brain cells. So whether it's the retina, the macula, the optic nerve, the whole visual system that obviously are made up of nerve cells run on glucose. That's the fuel. So blood sugar that provides the fuel for them to function. When they get damaged or injured, they must have fat to repair and regenerate. You have to have good fat. If there's an insufficiency of fat in the body, you will have problems with repair and regeneration of the nerve cells. All right? There's a kind of a catch to this too. And again, Not telling anybody to stop your meds, but keep this in mind. You guys should follow this. So if you're taking a lot of, say, cholesterol medications that are breaking down your fats, not only the bad fats, but they also break down the good fats, and your dietary fat is insufficient, you're not taking good dietary fats, and you're having neurological breakdown, whether it's brain, eyes, or any other part of the nervous system, the reason could be is that you're breaking down fats faster than you're regenerating them, right? Or you don't have that pool to draw from of healthy fats, okay? So we want to supply extra. So if you're taking things to help with your cholesterol, like statins, it's very, very, very important to take fats as well. Fish oils, flaxseed oils, things like that, things we mentioned a little earlier. So again, good fats will help with the regeneration and repair of nerve cells. Bad fats, things like trans fats, LDLs, will clog the system, and the fats will be deposited throughout the body. Now, those of you guys who have macular degeneration or know about macular degeneration, what's the issue with macular degeneration? We have a process where the body accumulates what's called drusen, right? Drusen is like cholesterol. It's a fat-soluble waste that accumulates in the macula, which is the precursor for macular degeneration. When the body accumulates this fat deposit called drusen, part of the reason is because the liver and gallbladder are not breaking fat down efficiently. So the strategy for dealing with one of our strategies of dealing with macular degeneration is optimizing liver health. Again, in Chinese medicine, we know there's a direct correlation between the liver and the eyes, and this is it. Fat metabolism, inflammation, oxidative stress, and the clear detox pathways of fat-soluble nutrients or toxins in this way. So the bad fats sitting in the body, or good fats that don't get broken down and metabolized, are just going to float around the body, right? They're going to accumulate around the heart. We're going to have cardiovascular disease, right? Arterial plaque. They're going to go in the eyes. We're going to have things like drusen that cause macular degeneration. In the brain, we can have amyloid plaque that cause things like Alzheimer's, okay? So those are three branches of the same disease, right? You have clogged arteries or clogged blood vessels due to poor fat metabolism. That's going to affect your heart, your eyes, and your brain. I think we need those. Agree? Yeah, really important. So it's rooted in the fat metabolism. Guys, you'll never hear this from your eye doctors, ever. No, they're not even having this conversation, which is, it's you know, I'm not going to say concerning, but this is why we advocate for integrative complementary medicine. Let the docs, and I know there's some of you guys on here, you know, deal with what you're doing, you know, with macular degeneration. There's nothing, there's no treatment. There's injections if you bleed, but other than that, they're going to recommend AREDS, which is, you know, vitamin A, C, E, zinc, selenium, lutein, and zeaxanthin. Other than that, they got nothing. We need to understand the role of fat metabolism. Again, let's look at other conditions, say like retinitis pigmentosa, all right? That's another thing where there's an accumulation, or Usher syndrome, rod-cone dystrophy. There's an accumulation of pigmentation, a fat-soluble waste product in the retina. Why? Because the liver is inefficient, either genetically or epigenetically, at breaking down fats. Help the liver to break down fats, the body will break down that pigmentation, that black, purple, brown stuff that's in your eye, right? You want to get rid of that. The reason it's not being broken down is because the blood vessels have become attenuated. They're not getting the blood flow there. The lymphatics have become congested, and the liver and gallbladder are congested and not efficient at breaking down these fat-soluble wastes. Now, this is why in Chinese medicine we say eye diseases are related to the liver. You have to help the liver function in order to get, that's the root that we often say, and in order to help the branch, which is the vision. So we have this root branch idea. Deal with the root, which is the liver health and the fat metabolism, to help the vision. Guys, you can take all the supplements for your eyes. You can take the lutein, you can take the zeaxanthin, vitamin A, C, and even if you're taking more of these supplements, it's even more important to pay attention to liver health. Why? Because most of these supplements that are good for your eyes are fat-soluble vitamins. That means is although they're good for your eyes, if your liver and gallbladder is not efficient with breaking down and metabolizing fats and making them useful for your body, They're just going to create more accumulation in your body. That doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that you're not going to get as much use out of them as possible. Okay, so that's really what we're talking about there. So again, understanding this model of helping the body to break the fats down is critical to your eye health. And those of you guys in Chinese medicine might appreciate this, right? Guys, it took me a really long time, and this is why I really got into into Chinese medicine, in functional medicine, and the classics talk about, oh, the liver in the eyes, and the eyes being the flower and the expression of the eyes, but we don't really have these conversations about why. What really does that mean? What are the modern interpretations? So those of you guys who are on the call, who are Chinese medical practitioners or naturopathic functional medicine, I hope this really helped you guys understand. And again, when we start doing more of our functional medicine, functional ophthalmology modules, we're going to do a really deep dive into this stuff. But this is a modern interpretation of how the liver, with its metabolic processing of fat soluble waste and conversion into water soluble waste, and dealing with free radicals and inflammation. This is it. This is what we're talking about. So it's amazing that even though there was a different language and a different jargon used in Chinese medicine, that 2,500 years ago, without dissecting the body, without lab work, without doing functional MRIs or CT scans of the body, that these ancients really had such an in-depth of understanding and acute awareness of how these processes affect his body. That's why I love this medicine, guys. In addition to helping you guys with your vision and helping train other practitioners to help patients with their vision, I love this stuff. It's so fascinating, as you guys can see. Just understanding, it's a whole process of revelation and discovery to really understand like what were these guys talking about. And once we kind of figure out from more of a conventional biomedical functional medicine standpoint, it becomes more mind-blowing to me in terms of how they really understood what not only the understanding, but then the implication and administration of acupuncture, Chinese herbs, things like CBD, which is also we use a lot for helping regulate both eye and liver function. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. Canavision is super, super effective. We're using that to help with liver function as well. And again, guys, I said it earlier on, but easy way to help with liver stress is take the stress off the digestive system. Try to be clean with your diet. This is why all the hype on free range organic food, cleaner water, cleaner air. Why? Because these are all fat soluble toxins in our environment, in our food. There we have to deal. Our body already has to deal with the waste products from our body. Now it's overwhelmed with environmental pollution and toxins from food and steroids and antibiotics and growth hormones and all the stuff that goes into food. So just being aware of that and minimizing the toxic load that we get in from our environment will help tremendously. Again, like drinking water out of glass or cups instead of water bottles, minimizing the BPH or the plastics in our body. Guys, every time we have plastic, say you leave it in your car and the water bottle gets hot, you're drinking some plastic. So the liver has to break that down as well. All right, let me take a little quick peek here, see what kind of questions y'all got before we drop off here. Man, you guys are from all over the place. Okay, real quick, I'm just going to scroll through. So somebody asked a question, it's a cure for glaucoma. No. So with these conditions, as I say, cure is a bad four-letter word. We're looking at management. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we're looking for remission, because a lot of these conditions are autoimmune, right? The autoimmune eye conditions we deal with, we're talking about remission, like RP, Usher's, autoimmune eye conditions like uveitis, iritis, again, which all are rooted in liver detox pathway issues, because there are autoimmune, and the majority of autoimmune conditions are rooted in digestive issues, gut issues, and liver detox pathway issues. So while it's not a cure, we can improve and recover vision with glaucoma. And again, without getting too into it, you can watch some of our videos on glaucoma. But with glaucoma, we let the eye docs deal with the eye pressure, which is one side of it, and then we deal with the health, integrity, and function of the optic nerve. So that's, again, where the integrative strategy is. Conventional glaucoma specialists focus on eye pressure. We focus on the optic nerve, health, including the blood flow, the oxidative stress, and the inflammation. So so the other person asked about cataracts. Cataracts, yes, can be early onset with autoimmune because the inflammation, the detox pathways are compromised, and there's more oxidative stress. Again, we talked about oxidative stress being the #1 cause for the acceleration of cataracts, which ties back to the liver phase 1 detox pathways. Early stage cataracts are always, guys, always pathological detoxifiers, meaning their phase 2 detox pathways are impaired. So while we're going to treat the cataracts, we have to go back to the liver. All right. Is macular degeneration linked to liver function? Yes, we talked about that. And not only is it related to liver function, it's an expression of cardiovascular disease. Again, it's the same disease process that we see as congestive heart failure, plaque in all the cholesterol builds up around the heart, same disease process where plaque builds up around the brain, we get Alzheimer's. It's the same thing around the eyes. There are 3 branches of the same underlying cause. So anything that's good for macular degeneration is also going to be good for brain and heart health. Really, really good question. 2 cups of freshly prepared fruit smoothies in the morning, empty stomach, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. The last thing, I forgot to mention this. I wanted to mention, I know we're going really long with this, but this is awesome conversation, and you guys are asking great questions. Green smoothies. Guys, first thing in the morning, kale, okra, spinach, put a beet in there, maybe an apple, some ginger. Google green smoothies, chlorella, spirulina. Make a green smoothie first thing in the morning. First time you do it, maybe do it on the weekend because it's going to get your bowels moving. You're going to be going to the bathroom. Or start with a smaller amount. Guys, one of the best ways to clean your liver and your colon is a green smoothie every day. All right, really, really important. Liver detox, gallbladder, yes, liver detox for kidneys. Kidney stones a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a different session. That's beyond we're going to talk about here. Can you eat too much healthy fat? Yes, you can. That's another great question. It's going to be body specific. Your body will give you feedback when your fats are too high. Again, if you want to monitor with some of your testing, you can do that as well. So Blaine put in some of the supplements. Thank you, producer Blaine. Guys, huge shout out to my amazingly awesome producer, Blaine Glynn, who's always on time, always in the back end of this. You guys probably don't see him, maybe see him on Facebook, but Blaine he's my right. I couldn't do any of this without him. So I want to give you an absolute shout out that I have endless love and appreciation for you. How about drinking water, lemon? Yeah, hot water with lemon is great to alkalize the body, and the lemon will help the liver to detox. For sure, that's a great question. Blaine, getting in there. The eye drops. Okay, for the cataracts is, this kind of got me to one more thing. It's called CAN-C. CAN-C is the eye drops for cataracts that has the NAC, which is the precursor to glutathione. The last thing, I totally spaced on this, and I'm glad you brought up eye drops because it triggered me. Remember this, is MSM. Guys, sulfur is one of the most important things that we use for assisting the liver and all the detox pathways of the body. Those of you guys that are patients know that we use MSM eye drops. MSM, that's Mary, Sam, Mary eye drops. We usually have patients put a drop in each eye for 1 to 2 eyes. Even if you're early stage, guys, MSM softens tissues and aids in the sulfonation detox part of the phase 2 detox pathways. One of the most important things you could do to keep your ocular microbiome in good shape, meaning keeping the detox pathways of your eyes clear. Okay, great question. Can't see eye drops. You can get them through us at eyehealthinstitute.com. That's our website where we have our supplements. Okay, I think we're good with questions. We are about an hour. So guys, Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your questions. Awesome questions. If you guys are watching this on a replay, please feel free to ask questions, whether it's on Facebook. We're going to be also posting this on our YouTube channel. So that's Dr. Andy Rosenfarb on YouTube. You can subscribe to that. We're constantly putting new content up there. And guys, if there's anything you want to hear, if there's a subject, a condition, something that's of interest of you, most of this stuff that I get asked is usually because, and this is not a diss, is most of these cases are, I hear this all the time, why doesn't my doctor know about this? Why isn't my doctor having this conversation? My doctor meaning my eye doctor. Guys, it's just not their job. They're not trained to do this. I've done 25 years of like this broad spectrum education in Chinese medicine, naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, Tibetan medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, homeopathy. I've studied all these different systems to really get this Western medicine, to get this global perspective. So cut a break a little bit. Just let us know. We're a wealth of information here. If there's something, a topic related to vision or overall health that you're interested in learning more about, please post in our group, send me an email, reach out to our staff, either me or Blaine or my office staff. Let us know what kind of results you're having. If you're interested in becoming a patient or doing telehealth, feel free to reach out to me or my staff. If you have somebody who just wants to learn about us, what we usually recommend is people start going to our websites, looking at our YouTube page to learn more about my integrative ophthalmology approach to eye health. And that should just about do it for today. Again, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you. Hit us up if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye.